If you guys want to read the question, I suggest you to pause here. Okay, so we have 20 million to be invested. Our first option is to invest in our friend's clothing store, which still need 40% of the 50 million capital. In this option, there are three economic conditions, which is boom, normal, and crisis. And this economic condition will affect the profit. On boom is 50 million, on normal it gets lower at 25 million, and at crisis it gets lowest at only 10 million. But we will only receive only 20% of the profit. Our next alternative is to open our own business, which needs 15 million of capital. Also, there are three economic conditions here. On boom, we will be able to sell 75 portion. On normal, we only sell 50, and on crisis, we hit the lowest at 25 portions per day. Our price per portion of the pecel is 8,000 rupiah, and the cost also per portion is 3,500. We will operate 5 days a week. Our last option is to study abroad. We will have full financing, but what will vary between economic condition is the living cost. So our expenditure when the economic is on boom is only 700. When the condition is normal, our expenditure is 800 euro per month. And when it's crisis, it hit the highest at 1,000 euro per month. These are all in euros, and we have this exchange rate of 1 euro equals to 13,000 rupiah. We will have to calculate that later on. We also have to pay a miscellaneous expense of 15 million. And from our unused money from alternative 2 and 3, the money will be saved without interest and consider the break-even aspect. Okay, from this case, we were asked to construct the payoff matrix of these three alternatives. And from B to F, we are asked to count the maximax, maximin, and so on. Okay, we will have to see our three alternatives and calculate the benefit on each alternatives, calculate the cost also in each alternative, adjust the benefit and cost to create payoff matrix, and then calculate the uncertainty. Our first option is clothing store. We have three economic conditions here, boom, normal, and bust, which will affect our profit. So on boom, the profit is 50 million, on normal is 25, and on crisis it's 10 million. So put it here, 10 million. And we will only receive 20% of the profit, so we multiply by 20%. And these profits are counted per month. Meanwhile, we were asked to count on yearly basis, so we have to multiply by 12 months. 12. Okay, if we calculate this all, we will receive 120 million for when it's boom, 60 million when it's normal, and 24 million when it's bust. So these are the payoff that we will receive from choosing clothing store on each boom, normal, and bust economic condition. Moving on to our second alternative, we will have to count our profit first. So because our revenue is 8,000 rupiah per portion, but we have the cost of 3,500, our profit per portion would be 4,500. On these three economic conditions will affect our portions per day. So on boom, we will be able to sell 75 portion, on normal it's 50, and on bust is 25 portion. We multiply all of this with our profit. And we also have to multiply it by 5 days a week because we open 5 days a week. With this we will get the profit for each week, and because we were asked to count it in a yearly basis, we will have to multiply it by 52 weeks because in 1 year there are 52 weeks. Alright, and if we calculate all of these, we will have 87,750 million, 58,500,000, and 29,250,000. Okay, these are our payoff for choosing nasi pecel on each boom, normal, and bust economic condition. Next, for our last option, study abroad. In this case, where we'll be counting our leftover from what we have from LPDP and our uncle, or from LPDP, I'm sorry, and we will deduct it with our expenditure. So we will start all the same with 1,000 euro. But on boom, the expenditure is only 700. In normal, it gets higher, and on bus, it's the highest at 1,000. So these, we will count this first, because this way we will find our leftover, and then we multiply it by the exchange rate, 13,000, to make it in rupiah. And also these are per month, so we will have to multiply it by 12 months to make it a year. Yeah, from these we will find this one is 46 and 800,000. For normal it's 31 and 200,000, and because this one equals 0 and bus, we will receive 0. Okay, and then we finished calculate the benefit of the 3 alternatives. We move on to calculate the cost. So for clothing store, the capital is 40% of the 50 million, which equates to 20 million. This is all the money we have to invest. For nasi pecel, they need 50 million, and for study abroad, there are this miscellaneous expense that we have to pay off 50 million. So in these 2 alternatives, nasi pecel and study abroad, we still have 5 million. Okay, now we adjust it to make a neat payoff matrix from the previous calculation on clothing store. If it's boom, we will receive 120 million, but the cost is 20, the cost of for capital, so we will only receive 100 million for our real profit. For normal, it's 60 minus 20 for cost of capital, we will receive 40, and at bust, we will receive 24 minus 20 is 4 million per year. For nasi pecel, it's 75, sorry, minus 15 because cost of the capital, and because we still have 5 millions that we save, so we add it here, and because of this we will have 77.75. For normal, we have 58.5, same, minus 15 and plus 5, and we have 48.5. And bust of nasi pecel, we have 29.25 minus 15 plus 5 equals to 19.25. For study abroad, we have 46.8 minus 15 because our miscellaneous expense plus 5 because we still have those from our 20 million. So it will equal to 36.8. This will this one 31.2 minus 15 plus 5. We will have 21.2. On bus, we have 0 minus 15 plus 5. So for study abroad in bus, we will have minus 1 actually, minus 10. Okay, so these are our payoff matrix. Okay, wait, let me make it neater. We have 100 here, 40 for 7.75, 48.5, 19.25, 38, 21.2, and minus 10. So this is the payoff matrix in millions per year. And from this payoff matrix, now we can calculate our maximax, maximin, and so on to make decisions. Okay, first one, maximax and maximin. From this payoff matrix, we can see the maximum payoff first. The maximum payoff for clothing store from 140 and 4 is 100. So we put it here. For nasi pecel, it's 77.75. And for study abroad, it's 36.8. So from these maximum payoff, we try to choose the highest ones because we're trying to get the maximum from the maximum payoff. So the maximum is 100, right? So for maximax, our answer would be first option, which is clothing store. And then for maximin, we have to choose the maximum of the minimum payoff. So from these three alternatives, the minimum payoff for clothing store is 4. For nasi pecel, the minimum is 19.25. And for study abroad, is the minimum is minus 10. So from these minimum payoff, we choose the highest one, the maximum one, because we want to maximize the minimum. So we choose 19.25, which is nasi pecel. So for maximax criterion, we choose clothing store if we are optimist, and if we are pessimist, we choose nasi pecel. Next, minimax regret. So from these payoff matrix, first we will have to look for the maximum payoff of each state of nature. So on boom, the maximum payoff is 100. On normal, the maximum payoff is 48.5, and on bust is 19.25. This 3 will be our anchor in making our regret table. So this one will be 100 minus 100, 100 minus 77.75. This is 100 minus 30. Okay, and for normal, this is our anchor. So 48.5 minus 40, 48.5, oops, sorry, 48.5 minus 48.5, 48.5 minus 21.2. And for bust, our anchor is 19.25. So 19.25 minus 4, 19.25 minus 19.25, and 19.25 minus 10, so this will become positive. Okay, after we have this, we have to calculate it. Yeah, I'll delete it so it's easier to read. For this one is 0, this one is 22.25, this one is 63.2, this one is 8.5, this one's 0, 27.3, 15.25, 0, 29.25. Okay, this is our regret table, and from this regret table we have to look for the maximum, because we will have to see the maximum regret and choose the smallest one, the minimum. So for option clothing store, the maximum regret is 15.25. For option nasi pecel, the maximum regret is 22.25. And for study abroad, the maximum regret is 63.2. So from these maximum regrets, we choose the smallest one because we want to minimize it, which is 15.25. So for minimax regret, we choose clothing store. Next, Herwix. So on Herwix here, we know that the alpha is 0.6, and because of this, 1 minus alpha will be 0.4. Okay, first in clothing store, our maximum payoff is 100 and minimum payoff is 4, so it should be 100 multiplied by alpha 0.6 plus 4 multiplied by 1 minus alpha 0.4. For nasi pecel, the maximum is on boom and the minimum is on bust, so 77.75.6 plus 1925 multiplied by 0.4. For study abroad, the maximum is boom and the minimum is bust, so 36.8 multiplied by 0.6 plus minus 10 multiplied by this one. Okay, so from these three equations we will have 61.6, 54.35 and 18.08. So from these three alternatives, the one which give the maximum value is clothing store. So based on Herwig's criterion, we choose clothing store. Next is equal likelihood. So on equal likelihood, we divide this case because we have three economic conditions, so we multiply the payoff by a third because 1 divided by 3. So for boom it's a third, for normal it's a third, and for bus it's a third. On clothing store, we will calculate 100 point a third plus 40 multiplied by a third plus 4 multiplied by a third. Why is my pen squeaking? I don't know, I'm sorry. And so on. If you want to make it easier, I like to make it like this. So a third multiply this plus this plus this. So 77.75 plus 8.5 plus 19.25. Yeah, the result will be the same because yeah, you just take the a third out and put it on the front. And study abroad, it's the same. A third point 36.8 plus 25.2 minus 10. Okay, and from these we will have 48, 48.5 and 16. So from these three alternatives, the one which will give us highest value is the second option. So from equal likelihood criterion, we choose nasi pecel. Okay, that's the end of tutor 1. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me.